Well, everybody, I'm very happy to say once again, update hype. It appears that we were correct with our prediction dates of the Brawl Talk being tomorrow, August 27th, which of course it means whenever a Brawl Talk comes out, today is premiere day, bringing with it the juiciest sneak peeks that we will ever get leading into this update. It's my job today to break down everything as methodical as I possibly can, with speculation as well as what we already know confirmed coming in the update. We really don't have time for this in this video, but I would like to humbly remind you that your boy's the place to go when it comes to update speculation and update coverage. So if you guys want to keep up to date with all this crazy update stuff around the corner, be sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to be covering everything in its entirety. Starting things off over here on the Brawl Stars Twitter page with the beautiful sneak peek photo for this update, which we will be breaking down extensively later on in the video to see if we can get any juicy details from it. But as you can see, it's all planned out. Brawl Talk, Robot Factory, and then a link to the premiere itself. This is quite the juicy sneak peek photo, guys. I got a feeling this is going to be one of the more extensive premiere breakdowns that we've had on this channel. But to state the obvious before we move on and then come back to really dissect this photo, it appears that we are going back to the Gold Arm trio, and I got a good feeling that the two newest brawlers are going to be filling up this family finally. Two new brawlers to the Gold Arm gang trio. But we'll elaborate on that a little bit more later on. What I like to do in these videos is get all the stuff that we know 100% certain of the way before we get into the crazy speculation. But of course, taking a look at the Brawl Talk premiere itself over here on YouTube, the title is Brawl Stars Brawl Talk, 2 new brawlers, gears discount, and plans for the future. Very interesting. So getting 2 new brawlers in this update, and I am confident one of them is going to be a legendary, which I will explain the reason why a little bit later on in this video. But probably the most interesting piece to this title is the gears discount. Now with this, I've been seeing a lot of people inside the community taking this for the actual gear rework, which I don't think it's going that far just yet. So I want to try to minimize expectations with the verbiage of this gear discount here, not so much as it's going to be the gear rework, but a definite reimbursement. The way I'm taking it is there's going to be quite a significant slash in how much it costs to level up gears and unlock gears. I'm not 100% certain on that, I'm just speculating, but we do have more Easter eggs in regards to this later on in the video that will give us further context. But then to end it all off, we have plans for the future, which is super interesting, very open-ended. It's hard for me to speculate what that could mean. It could literally mean the second coming of Star Park. It could mean what they want to do with gear reworks in the future. It could mean a change for something else. We really truly don't know, but the open-endedness makes it very exciting. And then wrapping this up with the info that we know 100% is the hashtags. We have hashtag Robot Factory, much like we saw in the tweet beginning the video here today. So it appears that that's going to be the theme of season 14, Robot Factory. But transitioning, setting our sights on the thumbnail itself and the things that we can get from it. Of course, starting off with the silhouette of the 2 newest brawlers coming in this update. And I gotta say, the Brawl Stars dev team is making it trickier and trickier to get every single time. So I've been looking and looking and looking at these silhouettes for ages because deep down in my heart, I expected there to be a robot brawler coming out in this update. And initially, at first glance, I thought the silhouette on the far left was a robot brawler, which, hey, very well still could be. But then I got to thinking, just because we're located in the Robot Factory theme doesn't necessarily mean that we need a robot brawler. I think most of my preconceived ideas leading up into this update was making me believe that it was going to be a robot brawler, but I have a weird feeling in my gut that that's not the case. If we take a look at the silhouette on the far left, initially I thought it was a robot, seeing that we have this strange protrusion at the top. I thought it was kind of robot-esque. And of course there's also a protrusion on the left, which could be argued to be this character's ear. But the longer that I looked at this silhouette, thinking that it was a robot brawler, it kind of made a bit more sense to me that this is an older gentleman. I think the protrusion at the top is a little tuft of hair, whatever hair this man has left, and the rest of the curved edges is his bald head. Whenever it comes to silhouettes, I could be completely wrong. There's really only so much that you can take away from a silhouette, but it's just my gut feeling. If we take a look at some of the more specific characteristics of this silhouette as well, as you guys can see on the far left on that ear protrusion, if we follow it down, it looks like a jaw, but the jaw is jutted out. It kind of looks like he has a full beard. It could be a reason as to why we have some weird indents there on the beard. It would be more hair-like. Again, I just want to throw out there, this very well could be a robot. My first gut instinct was that this looked like a robot brawler because of that notch coming off the top of its head, but I'm going to be going with my other gut feeling after looking at it for a long enough time. But if we take a look down further this silhouette, it almost appears that this character is wearing some sort of baggy shirt or a cloak. These weird little rivets don't necessarily look like human anatomy or robot anatomy. It looks like an article of clothing. And if we follow this article of clothing, we also see these weird rivets around the sleeve, I presume, where it looks like this silhouette is reaching out, overlapping with this other new brawler, and the baggy sleeves are drooping down by the end of the W and the start of the L. But other than that, it's pretty dang hard to tell from the rest of the silhouette if we go further down. So of course this one is a little bit interesting here. It really reminds me of a small Janet. I think we are dealing with another human and it's a child. And I think we have to point out the obvious. We have a very, very bizarre circle coming off the top of the head. It could just be the fact that this is the silhouette playing tricks on us, but my goodness, if that is this character's hair, holy crap. It's like Janet, but with a gigantic bun instead of a ponytail, right? But if we follow the silhouette down, it appears that the orientation of the brawler is looking right away from the silhouette on the left, kind of in the background, almost like it's hiding or she's hiding or he, who knows. Now, your boy Ray's cutting in here for a minute after I just got done recording the breakdown of this photo. As we're breaking down the silhouettes in the portion that you're watching right now, I find it very important to bring up two key details to help explain the silhouettes, one in which is this hat and another one is this circle. So I think either of these two things, the hat or the circle thing, could be a good explanation for this very bizarre circle seeming to be protruding off of the child. I think the circle very well could be a mechanic, maybe of the child's, where they utilize that circle machine for some sort of attack. But where my mind is drifting to after the fact, after breaking down everything, is that very well could be the gentleman's hat. The whole vibe that I'm getting for all of you at this portion of the video is the Gold Arm Gang is a family working here. I think this family here very well could be Belle as the mother and this gentleman as the father here, and the child in the background being the child of the two. And if we take a look at the overlapping silhouette with that in mind, it very well could be this gentleman is covering up a portion of the child in the background, almost as if the kid is a little bit more on the shyer side of things, or maybe secretive. And the guy is kind of saluting, holding his hat here, so it looks like a circle, but he's holding it in a way that it just looks like a circle, removing his hat. But that's just the way that I'm looking at it right now. Very, very well could be wrong, that's for sure, but hey, it's hard to go off of silhouettes. You really only have so much to piece together. But if we take a look over on the left-hand side of the thumbnail, we have what appears to be a Poco skin, which is so sick. Also, it looks like we have a brand new logo that I think will be pretty significant here with the Poco skin. Most of the time, this skin is the tier 1 skin of the Brawl Pass, so it looks like we're gonna have a Poco skin for the tier 1 of the Brawl Pass. Now, the logo can also be seen in the background here, that logo on Poco's hat, so I think this is gonna have some sort of significance in the update itself. What that means, I'm not quite sure. The environment that Poco is in the background appears to be inside of the robot factory, the theme of season 14, and in the background we have some really interesting things to go off of. Guys, I'm not gonna make huge grandiose speculation and leaps saying that Star Park is coming back to the game based on some something like this, though there is even more Easter eggs in regards to Star Park that we need to get into here in this video, but it's really, really interesting. It looks like Star Park has a hand in some manufacturing going on in the robot factory. But on top of that, on the box itself, we have Melee 2.0. Very popular theory that I've been seeing a lot already inside of the community is that Melee means that one of the brawlers is going to be a melee brawler. But I think the major thing, and the thing that I don't think I've seen a lot of people talking about already, is this stands for Melee 2.0, as in a melee robot, the second version. So I think this is another hint at the robot getting a remodel. That's just what I'm thinking, but I guess it could have a double meaning, or I could be completely wrong, and this is just saying that this is a melee brawler coming to the game. And then the final thing we really have here is the future of Brawl at the very bottom. Once again, very open-ended and super, super interesting. It would imply that there's some pretty big, grandiose things being announced in this Brawl Talk that I think we should all be really interested in. Cannot wait to see what this all means. But truly, other than that, I don't think there's that much more we can get into. I think we've gone as deep as we possibly can. But moving on to additional information, specifically the duration of this Brawl Talk. Unfortunately, our normal method in order to see how long it actually isn't working this time around. I think maybe it might be because it's too early on. I'm not quite sure. However, it looks like someone inside the community got this screenshot. I cannot 100% confirm that this is correct, seeing that I can't see it for myself, but it says 9 minutes and 8 seconds, which would make it the longest Brawl Talk in history. Again, I cannot 100% confirm in this video, which is unfortunate, seeing it's not coming from my ability here. However, maybe later on it will eventually work and we can see the actual duration. I just cannot in this video right now. But if we go off of this, this is insanely exciting. I want to give a huge shout out to Chosen. I'm not sure if he actually made this graph or not, but that's where I got this graph. But this displays the time duration of almost every single Brawl Talk in the history of Brawl Stars besides season 13, which we can just see for ourselves. But as you can see, this even exceeds the season 3 Brawl Talk, which we got the invest in your future video midway in that thing. Now truly, it's hard for me to speculate what it could mean. I highly doubt we're getting another cutscene much like we got with the invest in your future video. I think we're just dealing with a lot of things that the Brawl Stars dev team has to talk about and discuss with this update. We do have 2 new brawlers, and it appears a lot of other changes coming with it. And if you take a look at the most recent seasons, the duration of Brawl Talk has been trending upward to some degree, where the outlier in season 3 was much more crazy, right? We were dealing with 3-minute Brawl Talks, and then we had an 8-minute and 43. We've now been recently dealing with like 6 to 7-minute Brawl Talks as a normal thing. So I think we're just dealing with a lot of things in this Brawl Talk, which is super exciting. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we make it to the final stretch of this video here today, the final Easter eggs that we need to piece together, and that is with the photo that was released over on the Brawl Stars social medias. So whenever it comes to Easter egg photos a day before Brawl Talk, it's important to take note of the foreign things that we cannot explain. The things that stand out to me that we really haven't seen yet before in Brawl Stars are a few things, one of which is this device on the top. We have a circle, some sort of robot that looks like is in the works here with some sort of power going to it, seeing that we have some green light coming out of the eye, I presume being the eye. Moving along to the next foreign thing, we have what appears to be a crow dagger, or at least that was the first thing that came to my mind. There's a lot of people speculating that this very well could be a mechanic for one of the newest brawlers, which very well could be the case. We'll just have to wait and see on that note, but it's important to take note that we've never seen this before. It could be alluding to a crow skin or something even more significant. Another thing that made me raise my eyebrow that I couldn't piece together a foreign object was on this robot down here. We have an interesting hat. This hat seems to be a melding of a few different things that aren't foreign here. The first thing that came to my mind is it's a top hat, and the bottom half kind of looks like Mortis's top hat. We have that purple ribbon across the bottom, but there's a buckle on it. We also have a green feather coming off of it, which is really, really interesting. And then we have some feathers coming out. It appears to be feathers coming out of that purple buckle. And then the top hat almost looks like a different color than the bottom half, which is so strange. This hat could be dealing with one of the newest brawlers, an accessory for one of the newest brawlers. And I've also been seeing theories that maybe this could be alluding to a poison crow skin or something like that. But I think we're dealing with an article of clothing of one of the newest brawlers. But then the top hat is perched on this robot's head. I don't know if this robot is super important or anything like that, seeing that he's amongst a bunch of other scraps of robots here. I think the hat is just conveniently on the pile there. And then the only other thing that I want to take note of that I think fits into this weird bubble that we've been discussing is this bear trap. Once again, of course, this is one of Belle's mechanics, her first gadget. But in the most recent episode of Brawl News, we had brought up these bear traps popping up with maybe some Easter egg intent behind them, and seeing it popping up in this photo is really interesting to me. But with the foreign things or the objects that might have something to do with the newest brawlers out of the way, let's get into the more intricate things, the smaller details. I think probably the most important thing that isn't new brawlers stuff is this poster in the background. We have a minus 50%, which I think has everything to do with the gear discount in the title. Could be seeing a 50% reduction in how much it costs to upgrade gears, I think, which would be really interesting payback wise if we do have gears unlocked on our accounts. 50% is quite a huge slashing in price, but it would make sense seeing that we have to purchase the same gear on all of these brawlers, and seeing that we're getting newer brawlers in the game every single update, it would kind of make sense if they would do something like this. Next up, let's point out the obvious. Up here on the very top left hand corner, we have another homage to Star Park. Again, I'm not gonna say it because I've said it so many times and it hasn't happened, but this is 2 times now that we've seen some Star Park imagery in very important photos, right? One on a thumbnail and now one in a very significant sneak peek Easter egg photo here, and it's quite big, quite large. So maybe some Star Park influence in this update. Next, pinned up next to the 50% sign, we have a future heist sign. This could be 2 things. I think one, it could just be seeing that this is the Gold Arm Gang. This is another plan that they are going to be doing in the future, a heist. Or maybe it could be some sort of significant rework to the game mode heist that we have in Brawl Stars. It does say heists, not heist, so I am leaning more toward the latter, being it's just kind of fitting in with the Gold Arm theme of them planning out future heists. Next up, the drawing board for their plans. Probably the most important thing on the drawing board, in my opinion, and I think everything to do with the 2 newest brawlers. We have 2 wanted signs that are out of view behind these gem grab gems. I think it's pretty clear cut, and most people are agreeing with this sentiment, that these wanted posters are the 2 brawlers that are coming out in this update, fitting into the Gold Arm Gang. It would make sense, seeing that they're in this gang, that they would be wanted. We also have another wanted poster, which I think also gives a tiny bit of validation to these ones, but on this one we have that brand new Poco skin, which is the tier 1 skin coming out here in season 14. So I think it just kind of fits all together that these 3 characters that are significant here in season 14 would be here. And of course, the ones that we cannot see would be the 2 brawlers. Next up, I want to talk about the plan here, which I find really, really interesting. We have step A, step B, and then step C. Step A, I think, is them inside of this room here. The 2 newest brawlers we cannot see, of course, but I think they're in this room planning out something significant. Step B is it looks like they're on a train track, or maybe causing some sort of train crash there with those little dash marks, maybe giving us some clarity to that emoji. But we have an explosion there, so maybe crashing a train for a diversion of some sort to lead them into step C, breaking in to the robot factory. So the whole narrative here is that the Gold Arm Gang here in season 14 wants to break into the robot factory for something important, and I think that important thing is the robots remodel. Now, another really interesting thing that I wanted to point out here is we have 3 different green dots. I think these green dots signify the 3 members of the Gold Arm Gang family that are participating in this heist. I think the green dot without the tack marks is Belle here in the back, seeing that she's a sniper and she would would do cover stuff, like cover fire from the rear. And then the two other green dots are the two newest brawlers in this trio. Seeing that they're ahead of Belle, we very much could be looking a little bit too far into this, but maybe their mechanics would then mirror this formation. Maybe they are more closer range brawler or melee brawlers. We also have some other things here, which I don't know if they're super significant. We have this one, a heart tacked up. I think maybe this again might be looking into it a little bit too deep, but this might be signifying that this is a family here, right? There's love here. We have the husband, the wife, and the daughter. I think it's pretty dang interesting. And then if we move over to the left, we have Tara as well as Edgar X'd off. I've been seeing a lot of memes already about these. I don't think it means that they're dead or anything like that, or they're getting a nerf, or they're being removed from the game. What I think this is alluding to is, if you guys remember the Gold Arm Gang update, when Belle was introduced into the game, Edgar as well as Tara in the animation, as well as the skins being released in that update, were a part of the heist, helping out Belle. So I think the X's across their faces is that they're no longer helping out Belle. Maybe they weren't good enough. Maybe she had to kick them out of the gang for people who were a little bit more reliable and could get the job done right. Her family themselves. I like the way that sounds as well. We also have a few other interesting stuff here. We have the Colonel Ruff's badge there. I don't think there's anything super significant with any of the other stuff here. It's just kind of fitting into the whole theme, just kind of gibberish. We have a brawl box there. Don't think there's anything super important. And then that there, maybe like a green, like Colonel Ruff's is after them, who knows. But the only other significant thing that I wanted to point out is that seeing that Belle is here working away on these robots, I think we were all wrong about that Pam animation, if you ask me. Seeing that Belle has a mechanical arm herself, it very well could be that she is the one and her family that's responsible for this robot remodel here. She looks very well equipped to do some mechanical stuff here using these scraps, which maybe the plan has already been carried out there in the background, and that's why they want to break into the robot factory to get these pieces to work on something a little bit more grander. But my goodness, you guys, I truly don't know if we can go any deeper than that. I think we hit all the important details of this photo. Besides maybe this, I'm not quite sure what that would mean. A no robots allowed here. Maybe they're against the robots. I have no idea. But there you have it, everyone. That is my best effort in breaking down everything that we know right now, leading us into Brawl Talk. Now, when it comes to the other brawlers' rarity, I am leaning into it being a legendary brawler. I could be very, very wrong about that. It's just me having a bit of a gut feeling here. Historically, the Brawl Stars dev team has been releasing one legendary brawler every single year around the month of September. We had Meg last year, we had Amber the year before that, and so on and so forth. The reason I could be wrong is the fact that if we take a look at the updates that came out this time last year, they really never had a legendary brawler in them. The last year's one, we had Ash the Chromatic as well as Grom, an epic brawler, which then we waited a couple months later. In the next update, Meg came out, a legendary brawler on her own. The only thing that's making me raise my eyebrows is the fact that this update is being labeled or promoted as two new brawlers coming out in this update, with two silhouettes and the whole 9 yards. So I think maybe the second brawler has a little bit more significance than, say, last year's update with an epic brawler in the mix. Maybe the rarity could be a little bit more hyper, like a legendary brawler. Again, I could be very wrong about that, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. It's really just a gut feeling from your boy. My goodness, that is literally as deep and as far as I can go into speculation and trying to piece things together. Hopefully I did a good enough job for you guys out there. Hopefully you all are super hyped up for this next season. It's looking like it's going to be a really, really good one, if you ask me. I love the prospects of everything. The theme seems really fun. Gear discounts sounds really interesting, and plans for the future sounds really hopeful. So yeah, guys, hopefully you're all excited. Make sure to stay tuned to the channel, subscribe. I'll be covering everything in its entirety as I did in this video, much like. If you enjoyed it, make sure to slap a like on it. Really appreciate that. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you all in the next video. Adios and take care.